Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak today. I'm very sorry that I'm the one standing between you and the coffee break now. So please bear with me. I will try to keep it short. They have promised me 15 minutes. I assume it will not be that long because you will want to have a coffee break. We, as the modernAKIS project, and thank you very much, Natalia, for going through that very wordy general objective, have been selected for one reason and one reason only, to support the AKIS coordination bodies and the key AKIS actors around them in all 27 member states to evolve and better implement their AKIS during the next 7 years. This translates into what you have seen before in a very worded statement to get the project funded. I have been kindly invited here today to share with you some examples, some observations which we have collected in the last 9 months in the project regarding how the AKIS coordination bodies are starting to work, which models we are seeing, what practices we are seeing, just being with a disclaimer that this is early days and we are now starting to systematize the collection of these practices. We'll see which ones will evolve into good practices. Please allow me to thank the Bulgarian, Finnish and Austrian colleagues who supported me with input for this presentation. And now, yes. What we have done, because you have heard very much about multi-actor project, and we are a multi-actor co-creation project. So what we are trying to do every year is to understand what the AKIS community needs and to work according to that, which means that our REA project officer has to be very flexible and kind with us. And what we have done until now from the start of the project is in 3 stages where we had different developments. So at the beginning, we did not have any AKIS coordination bodies because it was September 22. CAP strategic plans were not yet approved, except a few. Until March, when we had almost all AKIS coordination bodies in place, where we asked, what do you need? What do you want, AKIS community? And one of the main results which came out was, what are the roles and attributions of the AKIS coordination bodies? How do you concretely, so in practice, need to support the AKIS? How to implement the AKIS coordination body, and also how to overcome the challenges which appear on the way. So for this, we have now started to observe and discuss with the existing AKIS coordination bodies, how do you do it now? And we have observed that there are around 4 models which seem to emerge, and this is just observational, this is not definitive. We have one model where the managing authority does everything from the strategic level, and on the strategic level we have put the CAP regulation, the intervention design, and also this communication with the EU, which Inge was mentioning, but also the operational level, which is the networking, the information exchange, the multi-actor activities, the interactive innovation, the advisors, trainings, and stuff like this. But more often than not, the strategy and the operations are split between the managing authority, and you see now a 50-50 split. This is not representative of the quantity of the split, it's just for graphical purposes. And we have seen that basically there are 3 models which emerge where this operational part can be or is positioned. Either in a public advisory service, in a research organization, or in a CAP network which deal with the operational part. And what we have not yet figured out or collected in the project is if there are any formal procedure or if this indeed may stay informal, like we had heard from the Italian colleague who had this desire for flexibility. So I will talk only about the 3 models showed here on the right side, not about the one where the managing authority does everything. And I have also put some questions in red. This does not mean that the questions have not been answered in the country. It just means that in the project we have not yet collected and systematized the answers. The first model is the Bulgarian model. And here we have the AKIS coordination body on the strategic level in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Forestry. And their regular operational responsibilities beyond the AKIS coordination body are the coordination of the Rural Development Program, respectively the CAP strategic plan. They are supported by the National Advisory Service, who has regular operational responsibility, of course, to providing farm advice, fostering innovation and participating in EIP operational groups, so the interactive innovation approach, but also to support the AKIS activities in cooperation with the AKIS coordination body. And why did the Bulgarian colleagues put that into the National Advisory Service? Because the National Advisory Service has more than 27 regional offices and 28 mobile offices. This means they can be with their AKIS activities very close to the farmer. They have already on the ground knowledge, on the ground connections. There is already trust there, which should enable this kind of knowledge flows. And again, these are the questions which we will explore then in the project later. What we have seen, and this is just from their CAP strategic plan, is the list of activities which the AKIS coordination body wants to tackle. I will not read this for you because you will be familiar with it and you will receive the materials anyway. But I would like to highlight in the next slide something which is one of the few times we have seen this in the CAP strategic plans. The Bulgarian colleagues went ahead and split responsibilities already in the CAP strategic plan quite explicitly between the strategic and the operational level. So there was some prior thought to how will we organize our work. And again, they have very clearly stated that the role and responsibility of the managing authority will be that regarding the interventions, also organizing thematic working groups for the CAP support, and, which seems quite interesting, that the digital repository will be supported and managed by the managing authority. So this will not go into the operational part. This is seen as strategic from what we can gather in analyzing that. The roles and responsibility of the Public Advisory Service are basically of implementation nature. And the resources which will be allocated will be from CAP interventions and the technical assistance. In the second case, we have Finland. The AKIS coordination body, which is here in the room on the back, is affiliated to the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Forestry of Finland. Apologies. The department is again that of the Rural Development Unit. And this is my very personal observation, so I might be wrong, and Susanna, who is leading this AgriHub, may now stop me. I think it's very interesting to observe here that we have the AKIS operational support, the so-called AgriHub in Finland, in a research organization, which is the National Resource Institute in Finland. However, this is a virtual network which you basically as a community can take and move around. So this might be also another option to, which they hopefully will not do, but theoretically, this is a network which is of a virtual nature, which is not necessarily tied to the resources of an organization. They have a steering committee, and I invite you to read what they do in that steering committee, because that's quite interesting. And what we also observed in the project is that differently than in Bulgaria and in Austria, where the AKIS support is in general terms, so it's general purpose, it has no specific topics. In the AgriHub in Finland, they went ahead with some preparatory work in 2021 and 2022 and possibly before that, and decided on priority topics which they will focus on. And this is enhancing smart farming, adopting into the Finnish food system, and supporting data sources and data resources for efficient farm management, all with the end purpose to support the profitability of the Finnish farmers. The roles and responsibilities, as I've said, are split between the two organizations. And I think it's very interesting for you to observe that the resources which the Finnish colleagues have put in place are quite plentiful here. At LUCED, there is a coordination team who has a coordinator, a communication specialist, and senior scientists, and a professor that run regular meetings in order to do this coordination of the operational activities. So there is effort involved there. There is commitment involved there, which our Finnish colleagues have put in place. And just so that you have an orientation where they are financing this through, this is the information I received from them. The initial financing for the first 2 years came from the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, and now they have diversified their income sources and have also the Ministry of Education, among other committed stakeholders. The third example is the Austrian example, where we have the AKIS coordination body who sits over there, who is Marco Stadler, in the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Regions and Water Management. The operational responsibilities are quite similar to the other two AKIS coordination bodies. Again, CAP strategic plan, more specifically here, the advisory service and the knowledge transfer in agriculture. They have close discussions and regular discussions with other departments who are, or respectively other units in the ministry, who are dealing with AKIS-related topics, and we've put them here for you on the screen. And the AKIS support, the AKIS operational platform, will be part of the CAP network, which is under ongoing tender procedure. So this is a public tender procedure, so it's not known where this AKIS operational part will go. And its operational responsibilities will be support the AKIS coordination body, and they have defined 7 priority areas, which have been matched to the 4 priority areas stated in the CAP strategic plan. These are the 7 priority areas. I think they are all in all, across all the 3 examples, quite similar. They have different formulations. They have different depth of how exact they are in their formulations. But in the gist of them, they are quite similar, all of them. What is very interesting, and this is the only example where we have seen this until now, is that the roles and responsibilities of this AKIS operational platform have been defined for the tender, and also where the resources will come from. And the resources will be dynamic, again, not making anything flexible, not making anything fixed, but according to the yearly priorities and yearly activities planned, subject, of course, to approval from the ministry, the resources will be dimensioned accordingly for this AKIS support platform. Cooperation platform, apologies. What we have seen for the first time and only time is an explicit list of competencies required for this operational body. I've made here just an excerpt for you because otherwise the list would have been too long. And this seems to be unique, possibly also needed because of the public tender, where they have explicited that they would like to have specific kinds of technical expertise, specific kinds of methodological expertise, but also some networking expertise. And we will take this example and then dig deeper into the other member states and look exactly how is this structured, what are the competencies covered there, how much is an overlap, where are synergies, where are special examples which we need to further look in and provide the information to you, maybe it will be of interest. So how will we try to support you during the next year? And then we will ask again what you will need. We will now start to systematically collect from all AKIS coordination body in great detail all the information which we have now categorized. You will receive an update in November, when we will have the General Assembly of the AKIS coordination bodies in Zagreb, on what exactly is going on in Europe, what are the experiences, what are the setups, what are the processes which we could identify until then. And then we are starting by the end of the year to provide capacity development events on how to think in systems, how to include the AKIS community, and how to govern this system. So what are practical tools to really coordinate, to be, like Inge said it, the spider in the web, and to make sure that this web doesn't break, because it's quite a tender thing. So to make sure that you navigate it successfully and bring everybody together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dora. Thank you. Really lovely to start off with the policy and then end